Hey friends, welcome back! Today we'll paint together this tranquil scene, a peaceful lake at twilight. This real-time, step-by-step tutorial is perfect for advanced beginners and intermediate students. We'll use only 3 colors and there won't be much layering or complex detailed work. So let's start! You can pause here, copy the sketch or use the reference photo instead. You can even print and trace it if you want. I will cover the boat with masking fluid. This will help me paint freely without worrying about colors flowing over it. If you don't have masking fluid, you can use a small piece of paper tape, you can paint around it, or you can use white gouache at the end, whatever works for you. If it's such a small area, I prefer to use masking fluid. I love this masking fluid by Jackson's Art. It's not a weird color and it peels off easily and usually in one piece. I'll apply it using a silicone applicator. If you're using a brush instead, make sure it's not one of your good brushes and dip it in dishwasher liquid first. Otherwise, it dries quickly on the bristles and it's almost impossible to wash it off. While I'm waiting for it to dry, let me tell you about the brushes and colors I'm using today. This is a Chinese calligraphy brush that I got from AliExpress. I'll put the link in the description box as I often get asked what is this brush. Especially on Instagram, I think this is one of the most frequently asked questions. So you will need a large brush like this one to paint the clouds, the water and the mountains. For smaller areas like the boat and some of the ripples, I use this round size 6 by Tintoretto. I did a review for this brush as well as for a few other brushes by the same brand. You can check it out if you're curious. And for the ropes of the boat, I will use this liner by Jackson's. For this painting, I'll use only 3 colors. So you will need one pink, one blue and one darker color for the deepest shadows and darkest details. The pink I'm using is Rose by White Nights. You can use magenta, alizarin, opera or any kind of cold red or pink that you have. The blue I'll be using is Indanthrene blue by Winsor Newton. I like it because it's very dark and rich, but when diluted it becomes this almost baby blue that is great for skies. The idea is for the pink and blue to mix a vibrant purple, and I advise you to test that out on a scrap piece of paper. Here I tried the same pink with different blues, and with all of them it mixes this beautiful brilliant purple. So this is ultramarine, cobalt blue, Prussian blue, and here below is Indanthrene blue that I'll be using today. You can see it's slightly muted than the rest, so it's perfect for the moody atmosphere I want to create. So test out the colors you have available and pick those that are closest to what I'm using or those that mix a nice shade of purple. And as I said, we'll need a darker color too. I'll be using Payne's Gray. You can use indigo, neutral tint and even black. The masking fluid is now dry so I can start painting. I'm placing my paper tape below my board to create a slope. And I'm starting by wetting the entire sheet of paper. Today I'm using Saunders Waterford in 300 GSM. The size is about A3. You can of course use a smaller sheet if you prefer. I waited very well as I want to paint the sky and the water in one go. If this sounds daunting to you, you can paint the sky first, leave it to dry, and then come back with the area of the water and paint it. I take some of that pink and I light it here just above the mountains. And in the water because it acts like a mirror and we can see the colors from the sky repeated on the water surface. I'm washing my brush and I'll use it to blend the color, dragging it up and down until I have a soft transition. Now I'll take a little bit of the blue and with that I'll paint the blue areas of the sky. We have one here, one here, maybe a bit darker, and what is left on my brush goes here. Now let's add the clouds. This time I'm taking thicker paint. I mix purple, I use it to add some random shapes in the sky. For the clouds that are against the pink area of the sky, we can take even more pink on the brush. You probably see that the paint from the clouds is spreading. You can leave it like that to create this atmospheric effect, but you can also lift your board and tilt it in different directions. The paint will flow down and this will soften the edges. My preferred technique in cases like this is using a soft dry brush. I use it to soften the edges and give the clouds a sense of movement. I'm leaving it like that, I don't want to overwork it. Now I'll mix a darker purple using more blue. Again, the consistency is thick. I'll add some Payne's Grey too. So we want something like this. With that, I'll paint the ripples in the water. It spreads a bit too much, so I dab my brush on a paper towel. Now let's add those ripples again. They're larger in the foreground and become smaller and smaller as we go up. And here, close to the horizon, I'll just add some light blue. It's whatever is left on my brush after giving it a quick swirl in my water jar. And I will use the dry brush again to soften everything. I'm wiping the sides as there are droplets of water and paint that can go back to the painting, and we don't want that. With the same dark blue mix, I'll add a bit more depth to the ripples in the foreground. And now I'll leave it to dry. Now that my paper is dry, I'll paint the mountains. I take some of the pink and add it to the blue here. We want a transparent mixture. I take a lot of it on my brush. I hold it vertically, this way I can easily paint the jagged edge of the mountains. I quickly wash and wipe my brush and I'll try to soften the edge here. I'm going for a misty look, so I want the colorful mountain to blend into transparent cloud shapes. Dropping some water to help me create that mist. And I'll try to go over the watermarks with the same purple mixture. Okay, this is what I was going for. Now I'll leave it to dry. When the first mountain is dry, we can paint the next one. This one is going to be darker, so I take more blue than pink. Maybe a little bit thicker. I painted the same way, except that here below we want to painting mist, so I'll fill it entirely. With the same mixture, I'll paint the reflection of the mountain in the water. I hold my brush vertically. I make short horizontal strokes, leaving small gaps between them. Now let's define the edge of the lake. I take Payne's gray and I'll drop it alongside the pencil line that I barely see now. And I'll use it to add some depth to the reflections. They have started to dry, so I'll leave them like that and come back later when the paper is completely dry. Meanwhile, I'll paint the reflection of the boat. I use the same color and I just fill in the shape that I drew when I was making the sketch. And here where the reflection and the boat meet, I'm adding a darker line with Payne's gray. And now the reflection on the mast. Just some broken wavy lines. Some darker spots here. Okay, let's finish the ripples now. I mix thick and dark blue with my size 6 brush. With just some water on my brush, I go over them, making the same strokes as if I'm painting them. With the smaller brush and the darker mix, I'll add some darker ripples here and there. I try to make them random while at the same time I'm covering some areas that I don't like. And let's leave it to dry. Okay, I'm refreshing my dark mix. With my size 6, I'll paint the mast. You can use a flat brush or a liner if you struggle to paint straight lines. Mine are not completely straight, but I won't make a big deal out of it. Here we have another thick line. Here we have some elements. and switching to the liner to paint the ropes. And as I said, I'm not very good at painting straight lines, so bear with me. Adding some dots here and there, some elements. And it's time to paint the boat. I'll remove the masking fluid. But let's first add a few birds. I'll use the liner again. I'll paint one here. Another one here. And one more. Okay, back to the boat. With my size 6, I take some watery pink. I'll cover the entire boat with it. Here below, where I added the thicker line, the paint gets reactivated and it bleeds a little bit, which is exactly what I hoped for. Some more pink here. And blue here. It's more interesting this way. I think I want the darker line to be thicker. I'll go over it once more. And with some blue, I'll add another line here. Now it's time for some details. I'm switching to my liner, and with some thick Payne's grey, I'll add some dots and spots on the boat. A thin line here. And if you have some white gouache or a white gel pen, you can add some white details too. They stand out nicely against the dark background. And this is it. We're done. Let's remove the masking tape. I don't know about you, but this gives me such peaceful vibes. The blue is so calming. So thank you for joining me. I hope you had fun today. If you did, check out this other lake tutorial. It is quick, easy and so satisfying. Okay guys, until next time.